And the thing about sitting with the truth and not kidding yourself, not being in denial, not being in avoidance, not gaslighting yourself, not twisting your life around it or your mind around it, but with acknowledging the truth, is that once it rises to consciousness, you can't unsee it. There's no turning back from that. You've crossed the threshold. And now everything is about what happens from this knowing. Because everything you try to do to to be ignorant of that which you know, it's not going to work anymore. And I think there's a part of us that knows that deep down is, if I acknowledge this thing, life is going to change. Well, depending on how big the thing is, right? But it's usually the big things that we avoid facing. But deep down there's a knowing that once I face this thing, once I acknowledge it, there's no turning back. The world changes. I'm gonna have to change. The things around me are gonna have to change. There's things I'm gonna have to let go. There's things I'm gonna have to do differently. Doors I'm gonna have to open, doors I'm gonna have to close. And with every dose of truth that is given, you're also given responsibility, a degree of responsibility to match. Because that's where the comfort of illusions, of victimhood, of blame and denial, that's where it comes in, is not having to take responsibility. If you simply don't know, or if it's simply someone's fault, then it's like, oh well. But there's a part of you, and it can lay dormant for a very long time, until it's done hiding. There's a part of you that desperately wants to live out in the light. It doesn't want to be put down in the basement. I've actually likened it to the inner child, because it shares so many. It's basically synonymous with your inner child. I'm of the view that your deepest truths, hidden in all the traumas and pathologies, and they're held by the inner child, and the inner child simultaneously is holding your joy, your passion, your ability to have fun, your creativity, your vitality. But it's also holding all of this pain, right, in the past. And it's very much like, once you go and fetch this inner child from the deep depths of your inner being, once you go and pick him up, take him by the hand and say, let's go out into the light, he's your responsibility now. There are things that you weren't doing before that you're going to have to do now. There are ways that you're going to have to advocate and be brave and be courageous and have agency. There are things, there are needs that your inner child is going to have. Certain conditions he isn't going to be able to live in or to tolerate that maybe you could. And there's responsibility in that. There's change in that. Sometimes there's sacrifice in that. But also what's revealed, what has been revealed to me, the more and more I reach into myself and I retrieve that inner child. I retrieve my spirit. The more I do that, yes, things fall away. Relationships suddenly fall away. There are people that I'm no longer in resonance with, places I'm no longer in resonance with, because you shift. You shift. Energetically, you shift. And there's loss that comes with that, but it's never loss that leaves a vacuum, you know? The universe always finds a way that everything you let go gives way to something that you are going to receive, or something that's going to come into your life that's more aligned. And usually it's felt or experienced even as more than what you lost. And you can't always know. You can't always contrive it. Like, okay, if I let go of this, then I'm going to get that. If I let go of this, then I'm going to get that and that. You kind of let go in faith, knowing that what awaits on the other side of that letting go is better than what you were holding on to. You know without knowing. You know, I think, I think of this thing that Mark De Jesus said about faith. He said, faith is... damn it, I'm gonna butcher this. No, I'm gonna butcher, but like I'll put it I'll put it on the video. But anyway, you get proof or evidence based on the action that you take. You know what I mean? The evidence for your faith comes after the act, not before. That's why you need faith. It's before you see. It comes before sight, you know? You choose to know that something is there before you see it. And in stepping toward it, it reveals itself. The proof is shown to you. That's the whole mechanism of faith. Funny, my name means faith. And I've been having to learn a lot of that lately. And I think that, particularly in this time, I'm having to learn the most about faith. Because there is so much in getting clear about my truth, and getting clear about my life, about who I am, who I'm not. I've had to hold on to so much faith in the midst of letting go of all that does not align. And man, let me tell you, it's like hopping on a train, and the train takes you to this whole other town or village or whatever, and you have no idea where you are, how far it is from home, but you just know you're not home. And you know that home is like, you gotta, journey back now. And just realizing how far I've been dropped from home with all of the lies, all of the secrets and deception that I've been a party to in my own life. It's neither here nor there, because it's what it's truly showing me is, or what it's truly activating within me is my own sovereignty. Because in the midst of this madness, it's showing me that I cannot wait. I cannot put my weight on others to provide me with the truth. I have to excavate that within myself. I have to find that and anchor with that, within myself. So all of these things, all of these ways in which I'm having to like walk my way back home are refining me, and they're catalyzing a degree of self assuredness, of sovereignty, where I learn to trust my truth, where I learn to trust my feelings and my knowings. And I'm seeing how that's completely changing me from the inside out. And it's making me someone who isn't just a number anymore, who isn't just a construct of the culture or, the environment. Like, I'm truly becoming my own person. And that's a whole other conversation in terms of like how that complicates my familiar relationships, right? Because you also realize how much everyone else, or most of the people around you within the matrix within which you were born, are still very much within the matrix. That's a whole other thing. And then also you can't save people. You don't get this torch and go and try force other people to light their own torches, when that's not their prerogative in this lifetime. So there's also that painful acceptance of, okay, this is my blessing but also my burden, and it's been given to me because I asked for it, and I'm gonna take responsibility for it, and I'm gonna walk with it. So yeah, it's not easy embracing the truth, and I won't say it's painless, but what I will say is that it offers you a sense of peace and stillness within yourself that nothing in this world can really give you. And as you learn to see that truth as a friend, it changes things completely. Because every time the feeling comes, you're like, okay, we're not running. You're not an enemy, you're a friend. You're here to show me something, you're here to free me. You're here to elevate me, you're here to evolve me. So I'm gonna drop everything to the extent to which I'm able, and we're gonna talk. Not even talk, we're just gonna commune. We're gonna commune, you and I. And I welcome what you bring. I welcome it as a godsend. As a what? Yeah, as a godsend. That doesn't sound right, but as something sent by God. And you have faith in what that's going to unfold and how your life is going to change from that. And you trust that it's going to be for the better. And you trust somehow that none of it, you're not given anything you cannot handle. Everything is timed so perfectly. The more I look back at my life, at all the events, at all the challenges and the lessons and the things I've overcome, I'm like, I see how it was all leading up to the next thing. At every moment, at every turn, it was all preparation, you know? It was all unleashing or unveiling something that I needed on the next step and the next step and the next step. And nothing was ever given to me that I truly could not survive, because here I am. So that's what I'm having to lean on right now, is that resource, that even though I don't know where this huge revelation, this current revelation that I'm grasping, even though I don't know precisely where it's going to lead, I have some idea of what's going to have to change, what's going to have to shift. But most of it's a mystery, and that's scary. I'm not going to lie, it's scary. But maybe I've done it enough times by now to be able to trust the process and know that it's unveiling something greater within my life, a more aligned, a more expanded potential of my life. And so, as crazy as it all is, I'm still willing. I'm still willing to continue. The truth sets you free, and I've wanted nothing but to be free. And that starts with knowing what I know and feeling what I feel, and aligning with that and honoring that and asking myself, what would a person such as me, such as the one that I am, what would that person do if they were in this situation? And maybe I should be thinking about doing that instead of all the ways I've been, navigating it to cause the least controversy, the least amount of noise, the least amount of disruption or complication. The ways I've been negotiating myself, subtly betraying myself to survive. That isn't what an aligned version of myself would be doing. So asking that question, what would one such as myself be doing? It's almost like I'm putting myself outside there and I'm looking, objectively. That's just the current meditation, so I don't necessarily have have answers just yet. It's something that's still unfolding. Maybe I'll make a video at some point in the future, in the near future, kind of sharing my findings on that, on my journey with that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Is the truth comes as a feeling. It doesn't always come as an image or a word or this clue scribbled in the clouds. Sometimes it starts off in that numinous quantum unformed place beneath the surface, and it just starts stirring there and stirring and stirring, and it's like, are you going to embrace it and welcome it and acknowledge it and let it reveal itself more, support it into clarifying itself, because that's the truth. And it won't come. You might get some clues. You might get some clues in books and, advice and whatever, whatever, whatever. But your truth is your truth. And it's, I guess what I'm also describing is the practice, the sacred practice of cultivating your own truth instead of reaching out for it, you know? Instead of being a beggar with a bowl for anyone who dropped some wisdom into that bowl, you literally cultivate your own wisdom by your ability to sit with yourself, to sit in the discomfort, to sit in the eye of the storm, and let it bring all the answers to you. This is possible. And it's so powerful. So, food for thought.